Hello, Tansi, bonjour, good day. I'm Dallas Arcand, three-time world champion hoop dancer. I'd like to acknowledge that we are in the beautiful unceded territory, broadcasting here from the unceded territory of the Okanagan Nation, also known as the Syilx Nation. That's how you actually say Okanagan in Okanagan language. And Okanagan language is also referred to as Nisiltian language because the reason why I know this is because my daughter is actually half Okanagan and well half my mix, which is mostly Cree, Nakota Sioux, and well I acknowledge myself as a Métis because basically if you define Métis, it's a mixture of European and Indigenous blood. Even though I don't have a Métis card, I have full status, full treaty. If you study the background, my community is Alexander First Nation, as I mentioned in the book. So now I am on hoop number 4. I guess this would be moon number 4, and referring to the 13 moons and basically what this book is about, 13 hoops. And that's how many hoops I dance with in one of my many routines that I do, because I have several different hoop dance routines, but one of the ones that's the most meaningful to me is the one with 13 hoops, in which I've acquired and won a world championships with 13 hoops in previous years. And to me, that's been always the most meaningful because of the story that's associated with it, because I was at a cultural camp learning about my culture and just reintroducing myself to the circle in a big way, because I never grew up with this. I never came from an abundance of culture and history and language. Unfortunately, I was brought up like an orphan in a way, because I didn't really have that cultural richness. I was adopted as well, and that a lot of our kids can probably relate to that, because I'm one of many indigenous children that have been through the foster care system and through it's kind of like another version of residential schools in a way. So in a way, I'm an intergenerational survivor of residential schools. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that and talk about the whole reason for me doing this and sharing my story of who I am and what I do. So this chapter is mostly about meditation and inner wisdom. So when I hoop dance, uh, I'm sure other hoop dancers can relate, is that when we get into the hoop dancing, when we're actually dancing, we get into a meditation like state of mind where we're focused, where we're into the dance, where we're becoming the dance, and it's part of our inner wisdom of who we are and what we represent within that. So I'm going to be using 4 hoops now. Like I said, it represents for those 4 moons, the 4th moon, I mean, and it represents for a lot of different things. 4 is a sacred number in our culture. 4 represents for the 4 directions. It represents for the 4 stages of life, the 4 colors of humanity, and the 4 colors of the universe, and how it all comes together. That's why when I dance with these hoops, I always keep that in mind. So when I put them out like that, it's basically representing for those 4 sacred beings, those 4 sacred elements. Like for example, here in the Okanagan, what they have is the 4 food chiefs. And if you ever visit West Bank First Nation and you get a chance to go and look, there's actually a beautiful mural there that explains the 4 food chiefs. So the 4 food chiefs, just a quick little lesson for you. The 4 food chiefs is the grizzly bear. Well, they say skimheast, the bear, right? And then the salmon. I don't know how to say salmon in Okanagan, but the salmon is one of them. Everything in the water. So the skimheast, the bear, everything on the land, right? The bear looks after. And then the sia, the berries, everything that grows on the land. So that's the other part. And then the other part is the speetlum, the bitter root, everything that grows underneath the ground, under the ground. So I just thought I would mention those 4 food chiefs. In the culture which I come from, which is mostly Cree, and the way I grew up, we have the medicine wheel. So the medicine wheel in our culture, it has those 4. It teaches us to live in balance. So in the medicine wheel, it teaches us about our emotional self, our physical self, our spiritual, and our mental. So the objective with the medicine wheel is that it's there to help us live a balanced and centered life. So I just wanted to share that with you and some of the symbolism that is represented here within this 4 hoop dance. So I'm going to jump right into it now and show you guys just quickly some of the moves and some of the techniques that make up the 4th hoop of the hoop dance. So here again, as I put these together, you can also, so this is how I'm holding them. So this is how I got there. So if you're not sure, I always teach my students, okay, hold your hoops like this, 2 hoops together, and now you're gonna just let gravity do its work and unfold them like that. Or if you get really good at it, you can just do it like that. And you can learn how to hinge the hoops together. So I do this in a variety of different ways. So this essentially is how I hold them out, like this. So now, as you can see, I'm overlapping the hoops, so I have more control over the hoops, like that. And here's the first symbol. This one represents for the medicine wheel, just like that. So there's the medicine wheel symbol, or it could represent for a flower. And a lot of these symbols can be seen throughout nature, and that's the beauty of it. See how it's got equal parts? It's kind of like a flower in a way, hey? But it also represents for the medicine wheel. It has those 4 corners, those 4 directions, and it just goes on and on and on. So there's your first symbol. So all I do with this is I just hold this up like this with my hand out like that, and then I place this across like that, and there you have that symbol. There's the symbol of the 4 directions. So from here we can go a variety of different ways. So one of the other things I do too is, this is one of my other moves, is where I use these 4 hoops, and you got 4 petals that represent for the 4 directions as well. So you can see the hoops, and they go in the 4 directions as well. So it's really cool how that just continuously goes on and on and on. So the next move I'm going to teach you with the 4 hoops is this one. Is a little bit more of an advanced technique with 4 hoops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin them in the 4 directions. This is one of the very first moves that really elevated my hoop dancing to the next level, because I sat there and practiced and practiced and practiced and tried to figure out how to spin these hoops. Because I used to hear stories when I first started hoop dancing about the late great Robert Bull. Like he was alive when I started hoop dancing, and he recently passed away a few years back, but I remember him, I never did actually see him dance. I've only seen like an old style video of him dancing, and I just heard people talk about how wonderful of a dancing, how amazing he was with the hoops. So one of the things the late great Robert Bull was known for was his ability to spin the hoops. So he would take 6 hoops, and they weren't regular hoops like this. They were actually like made from, they were kind of about that thick, but they're like really thin cardboard or board material. They were like special hoops that he had just for spinning. Now this is an indigenous style of meditation, because meditation is, you know, even though we don't call it that in our culture, a lot of people, we don't even refer to it much as meditation in our culture. But I mean, our people recognize that, yeah, some of the things we do are exactly like meditation, especially when you're dancing and doing these moves and you're in the trance. You're following along with the songs, the singing, the drumming, and the chanting, I guess you would call it. But to us, it's like, it's just singing. It's just those traditional songs, but just to make it easier for you to understand, it's chanting, right? So but it has a specific melody and a structure, and it takes years of study to understand that. So anyways, I just thought I'd mention that. So here's the next move. This is where I'm going to spin the hoops. So how you do this one is you got to kind of equally, so these hoops are kind of at where my elbow meets, I guess, what do you call the inner part of your elbow? So right here, it needs to be lined up with your elbow. So how this works is you got to be able to spin these backwards like that. This one's a little too far up my shoulder. Then this one. Now I'm spinning these outer ones, and I'm spinning them forward. the ones that are closest to my torso are spinning backwards. So as I'm dancing, you can get to the dance beat and do this. You can sit there for hours and bounce to the beat and do this. But it really takes a lot of arm strength to do this. A lot of focus, technique. And you're basically locked in to the momentum of the hoop dance. The hoop dance has got you locked in to that trance. And like I said, it takes a lot of strength to hold your arms up like that, because your body's kind of pulsating to that rhythm, to that beat, to that motion, to that momentum of locking it in and keeping it going. So that's a powerful form of meditation. Again, I'm going to demonstrate for you how we do it, like this, spinning back and forward. So there you go, I got 4 of them spinning. All right, there you go. So there's that trick. And that's a really good one. You can incorporate that into hoop dancing in many different forms, many different ways. You can use it as one of your feature moves. You could use it to integrate it with other moves that you've got, and which I'll show you in an upcoming lesson with 5 hoops. So I'm going to continue on though. So here's a recent move that I did. This is kind of one of my newer moves, and this one I basically just step through like this. This is a continuation and extension of that 2 hoop move, where it kind of looks like a peacock, but this one's slightly bigger than that. So all I do is I spread my hoops like that, and it kind of gives that same sort of motion, but it's not really that motion. All right, so there you go, there's that move. And now I'm going to teach you some other techniques with the hoops here. This is where we're going to separate and fan out the hoops so that we can do the next move. So this one takes a little bit of tricky technique. That's where I'm sliding my pinky right here, and then I'm pushing down, and as I push down, I'm going to slide my pointer finger in like that. So the hoop should look like that. So what it does is it separates the hoops and it fans them out. So now I'm able to hold the hoops like this firmly. So again, I use my pinky finger, my pointer finger, and I lock them together like this. And there we go, we have the hoops. So this is how you separate them. So you can do a variety of different things like this. You can make yourself a nice ladder. You can make yourself a nice flower design like that. You can alternate back and forth. This some of the things that I do. That's the style that I put into the hoop dancing. You know, as hoop dancers, you have to put in the style that makes up the hoop dance. And then you could also do figure 8s with them, the figure 8 patterns. You could also do like around the world kind of patterns, and you could join them together. And this is one of my moves where I take the hoops, go like this. And some dancers, I know my buddy Monty Sinclair, I've seen him doing this move. It is basically one of my moves. But like I said, I don't own any of these moves. Maybe it was their move, I don't know. But I don't remember learning it from anybody other than doing it myself. And it's cool, like when I see other dancers doing some of my moves, it's an honor, you know, to see that. So anyways, those are some of the moves you can do once you learn this hand technique of how to fan out the hoops like that. So you could do this. Some dancers could do this with 3 to 4 hoops. They can fan out the hoops like Tony Duncan, their style that is more of a Jones Benally style. I don't know for sure if it's Jones Benally who invented that one, but Jones Benally is like a really old school hoop dancer that does some of the original designs. You know, like I said, I had to be innovative in my own style, which was mostly influenced by Cree culture. You know, we had that flamboyant style. So anyways, back to that. We could change those around like that. And so here's one of the moves that I do, is I'll take these hoops like this, do the flower design, and then you could actually make a globe out of this by collapsing the hoops on each other like that. So this is one of my signature moves that I do, like that, and I make a nice globe out of it. And that's simply how I break it down and how you could do that as well. So I'm gonna pop this back out and show you a bonus move of how I would go into 4 hoops, because I didn't start that way with this lesson. So anyways, so say we have our 4th hoop on the ground, and then say we just came out of 3 hoops, and for example we came out of this move here where we do this, and then we do this, we do that leaf formation, and then we drop it down from here to the world formation or the globe formation like this. So this is where it gets fun and tricky. So now I'm gonna transition this into a buffalo formation and show you how I transition from that. So we're gonna do something from the first lesson. This is the 3rd pickup move that I showed you guys, and that's where you do a side kick like this, and it's really neat how it works out, because basically I'm side kicking this and then it's going around the earth. So I'm holding the earth like this, and just like the moon, it goes around the earth. So in a way, throughout my routine and my dance, I'm showing the moon in different shapes, different sizes, different positions, different scenarios, much like the moon when it rotates around the earth to begin with. So watch real closely. This, I'm gonna kick this up. This moon is gonna go around the earth. It's like a moon symbol. Goes around the earth like that. See? And boom. And then here's the next move. I'm gonna change this into a buffalo symbol, and I'm gonna become that little buffalo running around. So I'm gonna throw the hoop out. As it comes back, kick this, separate it, step through it, and then lock it in like that. And there we have like a buffalo symbol. Well, to me it feels like, from my perspective, you can interpret this however you'd like. So for me, this represents for that buffalo, or it could represent for a deer, or it could represent for a lot of different things. But for me, it represents for that, you know, because I'm kind of charging away and I become that symbol. Okay, then from here, we could take this and we can change this into the next formation, which I showed you earlier, where we fan that out behind us, just like that peacock formation, and then we make that symbol like that. And then from here we get to this symbol. So with 4 hoops, there isn't too much more that you can do that I know of, but I wouldn't just stop there, because there's yet still moves to be created out of 4 hoops, and I wouldn't just stop there, because the next generation is going to come along and be even more creative than we've ever been with the hoop dancing. But as far as I know, that's what I got for now. I'm going to show you one quick bonus move. This one comes from the hula hooping community. Some friends of mine, we've exchanged some knowledge and some moves, and I want to show you a quick little hula hooping technique where this comes from. It might be done different from them, but I learned how to do it my way. So what I do is I'm gonna make this hoop right here spin around my hand and catch it while I hold on to this hoop. So here we go. We're gonna do this. All right, so spin around. There you go. So there's a pretty cool move. So this is what I do in my dance, but I do it like this. I go like this. I spin them both around, or actually I go like this. I go like this, and spin around, catch them, and then I also do this move as well, which again, I don't really have names for these moves. I just do them, you know. I don't, it's not my job to go around naming different moves. I just hoop dance. It's just part of what I do. You know, maybe I'll come up with names for it later, but you know, it's all part of what I do as a hoop dancer. Every hoop dancer has their own story and how we interpret things. And ultimately, when we dance, we always just dance for the people We dance for the culture, to keep our culture alive, and to stay connected that way to the drum, to the circle of life, and how we live as Indigenous people. So thank you guys for tuning in, and there you go. There's your lesson 4, or hoop 4, or the 4th moon, in which you can actually discover in my book. And thank you for checking out my book. For those of you that tapped into the QR code, the new style of hybrid model in which we're sharing in this book. So thank you so much, and have a good day. Peace out.